Welcome back to my channel. This is an amazing, fascinating story about Valiant Thor. In 1957, an ET landed outside of Washington, D.C. and demanded to speak to President Eisenhower. This being claimed to be sent from an intergalactic council and urged the United States to dismantle itself from nukes. Over the years, photographs have surfaced and military individuals claim to have met him. Was this a spy? Were we really visited by an ET? The entire story, March 16th, 1957, just south of D.C., local cops were called by a local farmer who claimed a silver disc had landed. 15 minutes later, after the call, the cops approached the area. It was a giant metal saucer. The officers started walking toward it. As they approached it, a giant door opens, as they were anticipating an alien coming out and attacking them. However, a 6-foot-tall, 180-pound brown hair, wearing a silver and gold one-piece suit, comes out. The police lower the guns and just stares at the guy that tells them telepathically, "My name is Valiant Thor, and that he was sent here on Earth on a space mission as a diplomatic representative, and he means them no harm, and that he needs to speak with President Eisenhower." This telepathic message seemed to hypnotize the cops, so the cops assisted Valiant and drove him to the Pentagon, which was around 15 miles away. Upon arriving at the Pentagon, the defense Neil Mitch Elroy and 6 members of his told the same thing to them. Told the same thing to them, that he needs to talk to President Eisenhower. So 6 officials, 5 armed guards, and 3 Secret Service took him to an underground train elevator that led to the White House. The train arrived to another elevator. Upon arriving at the White House, as Thor walked in, the president stood up to greet him. Val extended his hand. The president asked Thor a question: "What is your name, and what planet do you come from?" He said, "I come from the planet your Bible calls the morning and evening star." "Venus?" "Yes." "How can you prove this? What do you constitute as proof?" "I don't know." "Will you come to my ship?" "Sir, I cannot just come and go as I please. There are others to consider, security measures to consider. Please spend some time here. Let us get acquainted." That was the end of the conversation between President Eisenhower and Valiant Thor. Then Vice President Nixon storms into the office, and Thor extends his hand and says, "Hello, I'm Valiant Thor." Nixon says, "You have certainly caused a stir for an out-of-towner. Of course we are not totally convinced yet. We are checking everything you say and do. We thought Sergeant Young had gone crazy when he told us that a flying saucer had landed." Valiant Thor told him he was sent here by the Intergalactic Council that oversees all civilizations in the universe, and that they are worried about Earth's nuclear weapons. So he was sent there for a time of 3 years to talk some sense into humans, pretty much. President Eisenhower said that it would upset the economy of the U.S., and that it could plunge her into chaos. He said that we were not ready for that, which means that the elite that run the world would not allow that, is pretty much what he was saying. But that he would love for Valiant Thor to stay at an apartment at the Pentagon, and that he could help the scientists in different areas of importance or curiosity. He was in communications with his craft the whole time he was staying in the Pentagon. It says Thor took part in many meetings and many tests. His IQ was well over 200. His suit went through many tests. They attempted to penetrate with a diamond bit, and it broke. They poured some acid on it, and it just rolled off and burnt a hole through the floor. In the report that was made, it said physical appearance: soft silver gold fabric, weighs 6 ounces, including boots. No zipper, no cuffs, no nothing, just one piece. After a couple weeks of testing, Thor heard about a meeting of UFO members, so he decided to go to this meetup in High Bridge, New Jersey. In the 50s, this was relative new phenomenon, so there wasn't meetings everywhere about UFO. At this time, we didn't have meetups about this stuff, so he claimed that he was being visited by aliens. This guy that put this gathering together. But he told this guy that was putting this group together in New Jersey that they were smart, that he's from Venus, and that they live inside Venus, and that this race are better looking, smarter, obviously, and that he was sent here to protect us from ourselves. His mission is to make sure we don't destroy ourselves. He wowed them over with all the languages he could speak. He told them that he immediately went to the president, but he was denied of his suggestions of shying away from the nukes. Fast forward, as his 3-year mission was coming to a close, in 1959, he continued to go to meetings with Eisenhower. He still hadn't convinced them to shy away from using nuclear weapons. So anyway, Dr. Frank Stranges was a PI, a private investigator, and an evangelic minister. Frank had just finished a lecture in D.C. and had photos of Thor that had been going around, for the last couple of years that he was there. This woman pulled Frank aside and asked him if he would like to meet the guy in the photo. She handed him a letter and it said to meet him at the curb the following morning at his hotel. So he was picked up the next morning and was taken to the Pentagon. Thor shook his hand and said, "Hello, Frank." The workers at the Pentagon were mind-controlled to pay no attention to Frank or Thor. I remember reading this story and remember Frank expressing that when he shook Thor's hand, that it was like Thor was looking through him, through into his soul. It was a very hypnotizing experience. Thor said that he allowed officials to run tests on his garment because Dr. Frange asked him, "Why are you wearing normal clothes?" And then Frank asked him, "How many of you are here on this planet?" Thor said currently 77 individuals are here currently, and that they're always coming and going. Frank asked him, he noticed that he had 6 fingers, so he asked him, is that normal? And Valiant Thor said, "Yes, for my planet it is very normal to have 6 fingers." And then after about 30 minutes of having a conversation, Frank left the Pentagon and continued what he did, preaching or talking to ufologists about a Valiant Thor. And then Valiant Thor, standing in the office one day, just disappeared. And from what others have said, his craft was parked at the Lake Mead in Nevada, and that he teleported to his craft and left Earth. And that's the story of Valiant Thor that I just find so amazing and so wonderful. Thanks for coming by.